Hey everyone, Input here. Hoping that you enjoyed this clip from Tales from Teletraan from a few weeks back when we sat down with Bobby Skullface and we asked the question, are people blinded by Toon accuracy and Toon aesthetic? It's a great conversation that we have here with Bobby. And yeah, hope you guys enjoy. Don't forget to like, dislike, share, subscribe, and do all that good, crazy stuff. And see you guys later. So this week's topic, I gotta say, is because of Bobby himself. Now I watched your video on what is it, the Four Dummies episode that you released 2 or 3 days ago, I think, or a few days
Yeah,
ago.
yeah. The Starscream discussion.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I watched that, and so you guys were talking about somebody in the comment section um, was saying that he's okay with it not having waist swivel because Starscream never turned at the waist in the cartoon,
hmm
and that immediately brought up a topic, and like in my mind, it just hit me as soon as you guys said that, and so today's topic or this week's topic is: are people blinded by Toon? And basically, what I'm asking is: are people allowing themselves to be taken advantage of by these companies, whether it's third party, first party, KOs? I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's Transformers and GI Joe in modern day case, because people seem to be clamoring for that Sunbow Deke kind of look. Um, are people letting themselves be taken advantage because of the aesthetic of the figure, and it doesn't matter the articulation, it doesn't matter what it comes with, it doesn't matter any of this stuff? So are people being allowing themselves to be blinded by Toon? What do you guys think?
I think that in this particular scenario, the tune plays a part in it just because people's nostalgic kind of connections to it. But I think that that guy's comment, who's is his comment got kind of like cherry picked out of it, and then I don't know, I can't even remember who made the comment, but I hope he doesn't feel away because it was just being used as an example. Um, but like it's more about like I think it's the money. It's the money that blinds you. So like when people spend large amounts of money on something, they can't wrap their head around the shortcomings of that thing. They just want, because they want to feel good about their purchase. And I think it takes either a certain type of person to invest large amounts of money into something and then also admit their disappointments with it.
Right.
And then an even different type of person to be able to kind of outwardly and publicly regret and, you know, say I was wrong or I shouldn't have, and the truth is it's silly because we've all done it. We've all made purchases that we wish we hadn't. And, it's like you win some, you lose some. That's the game.
I've seen that happen quite a bit with the main line, Bobby. So, and the main line doesn't cost as much. People, you said it best. Like I said, we don't agree with everything, but when you brought up in your video about confirmation bias, people, I don't have my allegiance isn't to companies; it's to my beliefs and my shelf. If you don't make it the way it should be made, especially for the price point, then you go on blast. I don't care if you are the company that made something that I connect to from my childhood. It just doesn't matter because at the end of the day, we work too hard for our money. Time is more important than money. So I have to spend my time to make the money, and you're wasting it when you give me trash.
Yeah. I mean, I understand that. I do want to comment on the mainline thing though, that like, big money is relative, so like, I hate sometimes talking about this type of shit because
Well, what I'm saying is
it can come off away. But let
people are
me
making excuses for the main line, which doesn't cost as much as well. So,
correct. I get you. But what I'm saying is that like a $30 figure to somebody is a big purchase, right? Where like a $200 figure is a big purchase to someone else, whereas to me it's not. But like a statue purchase, like a $1,400 purchase, like now I'm like, please be okay, or take it to this, even the Kang toys, right? So $450. I'm not good with math. I was in the resource room at school. So $450, another 50 to 5, $600, and then another one $750, and then another one would be $900. So $900 for the whole set. Now that's a huge investment for me, but like I don't necessarily have that problem of being able to say like I spend big money on shit all the time where I'm like, nope, this is dumb, or this shouldn't have been like this or whatever. But like, I think that's another set where a lot of people could possibly have to have that like come to God moment and say like, fuck, like I trusted this company with 900 of my dollars, and it's not what I want, like, or it doesn't function the way I want it to. But I think that Starscream at, I don't know how much, two something, whatever it was, like, that figure raises a more interesting question of, at the end of the day, what's the top priority, and aesthetics versus build, like quality of build, I think end up becoming the two. Like, I think that those two things trump articulation, they trump accessories, they trump the transformation, they trump the alt mode, they trump everything. What matters most is either the quality of build or the aesthetics, and then it's up to that consumer to decide that for themselves, and also based on their subjective feelings regarding like the design cues. So like that, I think, is like kind of the interesting takeaway of that figure at like the discussion point wise, when all the smoke is cleared. But sometimes I think the smoke will never fucking clear on this thing. But yeah.
Didn't you just say those figures dropped? I'm sure that we all monitor a lot for products to drop. The Vans toy stuff that you were talking about earlier, didn't that just drop?
What just dropped?
Like the Cyclonus, the Quietus?
Yeah, as far as I know, that's the first I've seen it. I've been checking on there recently because I think that Hoist pre-order is going to go up soon. So I've been checking pretty consistently, but I didn't check much.
It's funny. It's funny because the Starscream come out. We all know that there's a lot of issues, and it's just so you can just see that they're competing. You see it now, and now they're like, well, our Quietus puts your Starscream to shame. Boom. I don't know. I just find it ironic that, because.
But I think that Starscream's inconsistent, though. Like, I think that's the biggest problem with it, is that, like, I show on mine that the ankles are floppy. Like, there's no denying it. I show on mine that the ratchets, one is just completely shaved off in the hip, and then the knee ones are just weak. But I hear from people, and I take people at their word, and in spite of what my kind of instincts tell me, I hear from people that are like, all my ratchets are perfect. So like that's a QC issue. That's somebody in the kind of assembly line, for lack of a better term, fucking up. So I don't know.
Well, a lot of people, and I'm sure multiple people that have it that are trusted sources. Do they have the same problem that you have?
So I don't know that many people that bought this that I like are in my super close circle. Robert got it. But I haven't even spoken to him about it. I'll text him right now. We'll get a live response from Robert.
I feel like it kind of relates to the are people blinded, because this thing is very Toon, and is it across the board? Like, the only thing I like about that is that I never liked that they had the where the wings meet the fuselage or whatever, the side they got the long pointy pieces that come down beside the waist.
Yeah.
They got rid of that. I wish that some of the other ones, like the Maka toys or the Takara, I wish they got rid of those points a long time ago, because it does make that area look better.
I kind of like the points, but even still, mine is, and that's totally a subjective thing, right? Like, so there's no right or wrong there. But mine, like the pointy pieces that fold up, is another one that's like I've showed that like they flop around. That they're not held with any kind of real tension. Those pins, like it's just poor. And it would be my luck that I would get the poorly assembled one. But like at the end of the day, had that figure been built well, I would have gone into my final thoughts with like, look, this is an amazing figure. Simultaneously, it is not for me, and left it at that. Like, even that Prime, right? Like the 44 was that? I get the numbers all fucked up.
Yeah.
So like the Prime, like I was like, look, this is an amazing prime. It's the best prime out there. I've handled all the primes, and I'm telling you, in my opinion, it is objectively and subjectively the best one available. And I will not be getting it because I think it's too much, and I think the other ones are fine for their price. You know, and so like that's the thing is that like I don't know, sometimes like you know, I do think that Toon plays a part, but I think that like, you know, that Prime was going up against the TE one. The TE one was very Toon. So I think there's a lot of like brand loyalty in it and a lot of investment protection in it. You know, people are loyal to Takara. People are loyal to Fans Toys. People are loyal to MMC. Like there's a few companies out there where they just have a hive, you know, and Takara is one of them. And I get it. I used to be in the hive, you know. But it was just when things started changing that my views started changing.
And I find it really interesting that you say that like it's you know, mind hive and stuff like that, because my deal with Transformers has always been I buy it if I think it looks cool, or like say if like I have MP11 and I'll use the Starscream as an example. Like if my MP11 broke and I like the Starscream, the new, was it 52 or whatever it is, then I would buy that new Starscream if I liked it, and then not even replace MP11, right? Like, I mean, like I buy what I like, and whether it's third party or Hasbro or Takara or Masterpiece or whatever, if I
or yellow Soundwaves.
Yeah, absolutely, like the yellow Soundwave, exactly. If I like it, if I like the way it looks, I'm totally in on it 100%.
Right.
So I think it's interesting that you bring up like the mind hive, because I can't wrap my head around like brand loyalty like that. Like you were saying earlier with the yellow Soundwave, like, you know, it's a Coke can that's empty bottom. You're telling me to fill it up, right?
Right.
It's I can't compute with that, because it's like,
yeah, well, I saw that term, the hive, right? Like like in the way that I'm using it comes from like Beyonce, right? So Beyonce has like this super huge, like fiercely loyal fan base, where like some guy says that she couldn't sing recently, and her fan base like sunk their restaurant by just giving it 1-star reviews for days and days, right? So like, and it's called, and you're gonna love this, it's very quaint, the Beehive, right? So the thing about that is that like, it's that hive, it comes from something. It's not just like, it's not meaningless. Like it comes from an artist touching people, so to speak, persistently and consistently with a certain caliber and quality of music to them. And I think the same thing goes for Takara. I think the same thing goes for Fans Toys. I think the same thing goes for MMC. The reason why these hives exist is because they've been pretty consistent and decent to more than decent or better than decent or great offerings. And I think that I upset that sometimes because I'm not, in spite of popular belief, I'm not really loyal to any company. However, I'll openly admit that like I will buy every Fans Toys piece because I'm a fan of what they make. But if that changes, I'll change. Like I bought every Takara piece until what was the first one I didn't buy? Sunstreaker, and somebody gifted me that. But I haven't bought any MP since Megatron, because Megatron was like I felt like Padme. I was like they're going down a path I cannot follow. Like, but they have this hive because they've earned it, you know, in many ways. But like it takes a long time once you've built that loyalty due to pretty well painted, pretty well sculpted, pretty well put together things. That like, you know, people defend it, right? Because it's theirs. You know, I'm not attacking the figure or criticizing the figure. I'm attacking them liking the figure. That's how they feel about it. Right. Just like this yellow Soundwave, right? Mm-hmm. Like I think like Input, I think you're probably a great guy. I think you probably take care of the ones you love, and, you know, pay your taxes on time and say your prayers probably once in a while, eat your vegetables as accordingly. Like I think you're probably a good guy. But I think that yellow Soundwave is ridiculous. But it's got nothing to do with how I feel about you. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And it would be ridiculous for you to take that and think that it was about you. It's just like a record, right? If like you are a big fan of X band and I'm a big fan of Y band, and I say that I'm not into that band, it doesn't mean that I don't like you. You know what I mean? But like, but people put it on themselves like a jacket.
Yeah, you say that to somebody,
Right.
people got to put up the dukes.
Yeah.
What? You don't fuck with my shit, you know.
Right.
But what do you think, Danny, about the Toon?
I mean, I like it on the. I like what they're doing with the Beast Wars masterpiece because it's cool to see those figures in like it kind of look like the show, so I'm in for that. But yeah, I don't really care. I just buy what I like, and then I buy things I hate, and I actually enjoy them and hold them up. And, I'll be at a store and be like, "This shit sucks," and there's 3 in my cart. So I mean, I don't know what that is. It's addiction, but yeah, but I see the argument. I like it all. It's very interesting. But yeah, I hate what you're saying about people like because back in the day, man, like people had like more like whatever to them. Like you could insult what they liked and they were chill with it. You know what I mean? Like, of course I'm not gonna like or we're not gonna have the same opinions. That's what's great about it. I don't know why that got lost in the last little while. I don't know why people became like you said, where does a jacket? They're so overly offended. Oh my god, they don't have the same opinion about the Rodimus. I'm like, who cares?
And I think I think that, I mean, I hate to say it, but I mean, I think that the internet plays a big part in that. Like, when I was just getting involved in all this, I've argued with people on the internet about a ton of shit that I would never think to argue about now, and to be fair, a lot of those arguments that I had on the internet, I've had with strangers in person and never argued at all. Just a friendly conversation and debate and exchange of ideas, but it's easy to make somebody that you don't know, that you're not sitting across from, that you don't recognize their humanity. You're only seeing like the words or hearing the words or what have you to like kind of like, make them unreal in some way and think that they're like, that they don't operate the same way as you or and then you can speak to them any kind of way. And like, I don't know. I don't live my life that way. Like I stand on what I say. And
Input, me and you talk a lot about that though. The effects that social media is having on the behavior of humanity. You know
my God, dude. It's like I don't think we're ready for it. I think it's actually like I think it'll be one of those things that they teach like my great grandkids that like here was a huge mistake that this generation made, and because they just weren't prepared for it, and as a result, like my fucking. Like, it's not fair because my dad doesn't do it. But I know people that are my dad's age that argue politics on Facebook. And it's like what the hell are you doing? Like, you got no business doing it. Like, it's just like, like, I don't know, man. Not every shoe fits every foot. Not everything is meant for everybody. And like, I think it's supposed to be this networking, right? Networking is connecting with people. And I think in many ways that while it can do that, I've met some of the greatest people in my life currently from this shit. A guy lives 3 doors down from me from this shit. Right. In the same way, it can cause huge divides in people, man, if they're not being cognizant of it.
And I think the internet, how that plays a bigger role is like, for politics, people, Facebook, not to get on a side tangent with any of this stuff, but the ads and the political ads and all this other stuff on Facebook and Instagram or whatever, like when people put their own beliefs out there that you completely disagree with, and when it comes to like religion and politics out there, and you kind of have like this idea of how this person is or how he may be or how she may be or whatever, and then they say they voted for XYZ and you hate XYZ and you think it's a complete disaster and they voted for it, then that kind of makes your brain shift on that person going, okay, screw them, right? That's how they feel. So it kind of brings up this shield, right? And so while you're on social media, that shield, you're bringing it up on anything and everything that you're in, whether it's a Transformers group, a toy group, a comic group, should water be blue or should it be green? No, you're stupid if it's not green, like it's right. It comes up. And the other aspect.
Let me piggyback on that for just a second. Yeah. I think that's a good analogy because like the truth is that sometimes it's blue and sometimes it's green. And guess what? Yeah. Sometimes it's blue-green. Sometimes it's green-blue. But like, I think that's one of the things that those sorts of like digital discussions don't allow for is nuance, and they don't allow for the gray area, and they don't allow for the compromise. You're either on this gang or you're in fucking this gang. You pick your rag and you go to work.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I was getting to is that in text form. Text is really hard to see, hard to read if someone's
Jesus
angry.
Christ,
Or
Oh
someone's
yeah, for sure.
upset,
Dude,
right?
that's what
So-
I can't stand. Yeah.
So when you have that shield up and it's a defensive shield, you look at whatever it is you're reading and it comes off angry when the person may have not meant it that way or whatever because that shield's up.
I just spoke about this. I'm sorry. Hey, I keep cutting you off. I just spoke about this recently because I have this great example of this. Is that like there's this dude in my life, Raul, right? He handles Nerd Rage's Instagram account. He sends me birthday gifts, like he's eating at my house. This dude is a friend. I was one night, which I won't get into the details of, at a TF con. Like I was gonna fight for this dude. Like this dude is a friend, right? Patreon supporter, et cetera, et cetera. Like I can't say enough about him, right? Sometimes he will leave comments on shit where I think he's after me. Like, dude, this guy's got a fucking bone to pick with me. And I had to remind myself, like, no, this is your friend. He runs the fucking Instagram for your podcast. He sends you fucking birthday gifts. You're not reading this right.
Yeah. Well, how many times have we looked at a text message or something and handed it over to somebody else and be like, hey, read this and tell me if I'm overreacting or whatever. Right?
I'm going to say this. And anybody knows me knows this. LOL is one of the most dangerous fucking words there is. If you ever go back and you look at any of my messages, Danny, input, whoever, I never fucking use that term ever. Because it's turned into people using it for whatever the fuck they want and then being like later, oh, I didn't mean that. It's
their get out of jail free card.
Nah, but that's garbage.
Right.
I mean, if you want to go to jail or you want to get into it with somebody, just talk with them about it. I mean, I just hate that shade. I don't ever use it.
I feel like it's like it like my wife sometimes will be like, like how you doing, and I'll say fine, and I'll put a period on it and send it to her. And she'd be like, "Oh, what's wrong?" I'm like, I'm fine. So you put a period on it though. It's different when you say fine with a period. It's like no, I'm just finished with the thought. I hit spacebar twice by accident. It could have been anything,
right?
But you know what I mean. It's like that type of shit. It's like
I've gotten phone calls from my girlfriend after a text message. I send her a text message like that, and then what's wrong?
Yeah.
Nothing. I mean, like,
yeah. I started to get I get irritated. Like I'm irritated now because I'm wasting time talking about something that I thought we already got to the bottom of. How am I? I'm fine.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Right. And then you get the message or the response back. Well, you don't have to be an asshole about it or whatever.
Yeah.
I do try to promote that as much as I can. You watch my shows. I'm on with anybody. Don't lose your fucking humanity. Okay, that's what the world is trying to do. It's trying to strip you of your humanity. Everything you need to see a lot of times in somebody's face. Okay, and they just, I'm trying to be something different and use the teachings that I've learned. And I didn't always have those. The older I get, the more mature, the more I learn. So, like on my channel, I do have a couple rules: no politics, no religion, and just be respectful.
Yeah. Well, so politics and religion are extra tricky, right? Because like that's what's interesting about them is that like if you get into like heavy political or religious discussion at a certain point, because the thing about like if John is a Republican, an extreme Republican, and Jack is an extreme Democrat, like theoretically, they both want the best for the country. They just have two different views of the choices that are made in order to get to that point. But as the conversation elevates and escalates, at one point, one or the other is going to have to make some sort of argument toward the other that suggests that their point of view will be responsible for the detriment of something. So like you end up not only attacking like a person's viewpoint, but their kind of way of life. And the same thing goes for religion. And that's when that shit gets tricky. It's an interesting conversation. Like the old school people, like my dad and them, like, yeah, you don't talk politics, you don't talk religion. Like, it's just like, maybe we need to get back to that.
Oh, yeah.
Like maybe we talk about that shit too much and we should just get back to like the old timers where they just like, it was impolite.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It wasn't polite before. Exactly.
Well, I think
bring that up. Yeah.
I think they figured it out in the sense that like that cost you friends, that cost you family, that cost you everything that's supposed to be held dear, right? Just on one thought process. I mean, like I said earlier, you voted for him, or you voted for that bill, or you voted for that, or you go to XYZ church and I'm a Mormon and you're a Baptist or whatever. Like that automatically causes the rift, no matter what, and you don't want to lose that friendship or that relationship or whatever, right?
Yeah, and you already know, especially if they're it's like if you have a personal relationship with them, like you already know they're good people. You know what I mean? So it's like,
right.
Well, no, excuse me, but know your audience. Okay.
Yeah, that's a big one. That's a big
Don't
one.
engage with somebody you don't know shit about. Okay. You're just fucking looking for like, okay, Bobby, I don't know you. Okay. You don't know me. Okay.
Correct.
I have a sense of what you do in the community, which is amazing. Okay. That's what we all try to emulate, is just be good in the community. And we have a really good one here, created by people like Input, Cato, Marcos. I name drop people sometimes because I think it's very important. The people that do well get the recognition that they deserve. So know your audience. And how many times have me and you, Input, had religious discussions and politic discussions off air?
I won't say quite a bit, but I mean, but we know each other and we know we can have that open discussion with each other, right?
Yeah.
I think the saying is, what is it? It's better to keep your mouth shut instead of open it and prove them right, or prove that person right, or whatever, right? And I say that because I think a lot of people they just talk to kind of hear themselves talk. They don't think about the recourse. They don't think about the repercussions of it or anything else. Because you see it now, like everybody pops up on Facebook or social media or whatever. I voted for this guy. I voted for that guy.
Yeah.
And that starts this huge chain reaction of whatever it ends up causing, from that situation. It starts at that point, right? Like nobody can keep quiet or keep their mouth shut when it comes to social media, because that person essentially is protected. Like you don't know where that person is, they're behind a keyboard. You don't know what they look like. You don't see them. You're not friends. There's no real loss there. I got kicked out of a toy group for saying that I liked, XYZ church or whatever, right? And it's not that big of a deal, because there's no real repercussion there. But I will say I do agree with you, Bobby, that we do need to get back to you don't talk like that. You don't talk about religion and politics.
Yeah, unless you're like you two have like a super comfortable relationship. And I have people in my life that I have a super comfortable relationship having those discussions with, but like I think it has become kind of too common to have them. And the truth is, it's like, the previous, like the great generation, and like even the boomers, I guess, like they didn't do it, and they didn't do it for a reason.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, and they also probably, they have more important things to worry about at the end of the day.
Yeah, so I think that's a great point. Like, I think that some of the things that we like bitch and complain about, like, here, I'm like, man, it's gotta show you how fucking good life is. Like, there was a time when people could like get attacked by a bear when they left the house or some shit like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's perspective.
You don't have that. You don't have that problem anymore, man. Like, maybe we can learn something from that too.
There's a lot of people who are entitled and I'm like, you ain't entitled to nothing. I mean, I ain't entitled to my next breath of oxygen. So,
right.
But
life is whimsical, man.
I just say enjoy it, enjoy what you got, and enjoy what you're doing, and don't try to bring anybody else down with it.
Yeah, I think most people are the hero or the villain in their story. You know what I mean? Nobody's the villain in their story. So,
right.
So everybody, for the most part, considers themselves to be a good person, and it's more so about finding. If you find out how, then you might have more in common with someone than trying.
I think real is obvious. You can deduce real from fake, and it doesn't take long to figure that out.
Yeah, some longer than others, but I get you.
Yeah, absolutely. If you guys liked what you saw and what you heard right there, don't forget to check out the show every Saturday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Central Standard Time right here on the Input channel. Since you made it this far, don't forget to like, dislike, share, and subscribe. and see you guys whenever we see you.